I'm going to help you Eagle fans out. Yeah. You want to get Eric Allen in the Hall of Fame? You want to get him in the Hall of Fame? You know, I work with the Hall of Fame voters. Pro Football Hall of Fame started following me too because they know that many of the voters will come to me to get information built up on many of the candidates. Like, I'm really big on pushing Dwight Freeney, Connecticut guy. I know Dwight from his high school time in Connecticut. So I've been friends with Dwight Freeney for years. Broke my sack record in Connecticut. So I've been friends with him, and as we get Jason Cole, Jared Bell, Rick Gosselin, God, go down the list. I put information together for about 15 of them, and then what they'll do is they'll text me and they'll ask me, Sills, like, I was completely against Leroy Butler going in. They were like, I go, Leroy Butler? Remember when Fred Dean went in? I questioned that whole process. I'm like, Fred Dean? No one even knows who he is. He was a fine pass rusher, but he wasn't better than Leslie O'Neal or Cornelius Bennett. He wasn't better than any of those guys. And I was like, absolutely not. So, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll show you some of the emails that I get and some of the text messages I get when they ask me for my 5. They'll ask me for my 5 because it's down to 15 now on the semifinalist list. Then I'll put it down to 5. They like to put 5 or 6 in now. Plus now with the they don't have a blue ribbon committee any longer. Now they've expanded the veterans committee now too. Hey, by the way, Howard Balzer's also on that. So I do a lot of work for all that. I don't think Ricky Watters is a Hall of Famer. Fred Taylor, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer either. I think those guys are right. Like, look, I'll tell you what. I think McNabb's closer than them two. Joe Thomas, the only problem I have with Joe Thomas has played the most meaningless football game in the history of any Hall of Fame nominee of all time. So you put a guy in that played on the most meaningless football ever. And I get it's not his fault. He was drafted to Cleveland. Joe follows me on Twitter. He's asked me, Sills, what do you, because he knows I'm part of the process. I don't select. I'm not suggesting that. But what I do is I give suggestions, and they ask me, what do you think? And I go, Joe, I think you are a Hall of Fame player that was in an unfortunate situation. What I don't get is Eric Allen not being in the Hall of Fame. JM goes hater. No. I don't think Ricky Williams Ricky Williams is more of a Hall of Famer. Ricky Williams is more of a Hall of Fame back than he is. Ricky Watt. I just never thought he was. I thought he was a good pulp. Hey, by the way, the other guy that played in San Francisco, the running back, 33, Roger Craig, he's by far a better player than Ricky Watters ever was. By far ever was. Eric Allen, I'm shocked, actually. I think Seth's a fine ball player. I do not think Seth Joyner is a Hall of Fame player. Too old. It's hard to say because I think Seth is a Hall of Fame talent. He played in an era of a lot of great linebackers too, though. So that you would have to put that in conversation too. Dude, he played in an era of Pepper Johnson and Mike Singletary and all them great linebackers. Wilbur Marshall. I mean, how do you not consider Wilbur Marshall a Hall of Fame player? That's a great ball player. I mean, he's right there too. Jameson, Eli Manning's going to get in because he's NFL royalty. plus his 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and he beat the GOAT. But if you look at his numbers, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, what I've looked up, he's 117 and 117 and 1. His last 10 years in New York were nothing to write home about. Okay? Yeah, JM, Roger Craig's a better ball player. First guy to go 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing, played on 3 Super Bowl championship teams. How do you put him in? How do you put Ricky Waters in over Roger Craig? You know what I mean? I never, and that was, we had a conversation 2 years ago about Ricky Waters. And I brought Roger Craig's up. I go, well, how do you put that guy in over him? You know? Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. I think Phillip Rivers is going to make it to the Hall of Fame. Big Ben's got 2 Super Bowl rings in Pittsburgh. Never had a losing year in 17 seasons. Ben Roethlisberger is going. JN, the problem with Devin Hester is that Devin Hester never really had a pure position. And when you start talking about special teams, it's new. You know, you're starting to see place kickers go into the Hall of Fame. By the way, some of you don't know the Pro Football Hall of Fame released the 15 semifinals list. And Eric Allen is on that. Dwight Freeney is on that. James Harrison is back on it. By the way, I want to throw out this. 4 Hurricanes. Butch Davis recruited 4 Hurricane guys who are semifinalists. Devin Hester, Vince Wilfork, Andre Johnson, and Reggie Wayne. I do not know why the University of Miami has not asked him to help recruit talent again to that place. Butch Davis is one of the greatest recruits. He did Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. He was one of the greatest recruiters of all time. How do you not have him part of your program? Hey, Dan, what a great question, Brian. Guys, I'll ask you this. Brian, I love this question. Who's a better player, Seth Joyner or Jeremiah Trotter? Hey, Brian, you see Jeremiah Trotter Jr. playing for Clemson this past weekend against Miami? That kid's going to go in the first round. He's a damn good-looking ball player. That kid, Jeremiah Trotter's son, can play. He plays at Clemson. He's a good football player, man. God, who's a better player, Seth Joyner or Jeremiah Trotter? Man. Wow, I never thought about that. Who's a better player, Seth or Jeremiah Trotter? Seth played with some spectacular football players. Jeff Fisher was his DC. Buddy Ryan, the overseer, the building of that defense. Man. Looks like the crib keeper with Botox. Funny. Shady will make it? Don't think so. Great ball player, though. Think Trotter better than Seth? I don't know. That's all. You know what? I hate not giving answers. Man. Seth over Trotter, but by not much. If any return is to break the glass ceiling, it's Hester. Well, what about Billy White Shoes Johnson, JM? How do you leave Billy White Shoes Johnson out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame when White Shoes was the first return dude to like really emphasize what it meant to have a return guy on your football team? How do you look at Devin Hester and you go, okay, well, Hester's a Hall of Fame talent, the things he did. By the way, they changed the kickoff return and the kickoff game because of Devin Hester. Michael Vick is not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. Great player, though. Okay. Who was the return guy in Kansas City? Cherry? What about Sproles? I just think, again, another good ball player. Another good ball player. Right there. Damn, Sills, you have to answer the question. You have an answer for every. I don't. Dante Hall, that's right. D'Angelo Hall. He's not better than White Shoes Johnson. Billy White Shoes Johnson had personality too. Got to put him in the Pro Football Hall of Fame before you. Ocho Cinco's not a Hall of Fame player. He's not a Hall of Fame player. Okay? He's not. I think Ocho Cinco put up some pretty good. That means how many? Antonio Brown's a better player than Ocho Cinco. Antonio Brown's a better player than Ocho Cinco. You're not putting him in. At least I don't think you're going to put him in. I like that conversation. I always bring that stuff up. All right, please hit the like button. We have the Big Sills Power 10 NFL teams. My quarterback. Also, in this hour, the Eagles milk carton guys. Brian Mitchell is man, Brian Mitchell, shit. Yeah. Yeah. If I had to recommend, Sills, we need another special teams guy. Who would you go with? Would Brian Mitchell be on your list? Mitchell, White Shoes Johnson, Devin Hester, the kid from Buffalo too would be in that conversation. Steve Tasker. Yeah, I'd probably put Brian Mitchell for sure. Okay. Brian Mitchell's got to be in that conversation. Seth Joyner, 206 games, 52 sacks, 27 interceptions. Trotter, 147, 12. Oh, man. Seth Joyner gets it. Absolutely. Those statistics right there, Ron. Ron, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Seth Joyner's, yeah. Seth's a better player. Those are tremendous. Look at the amount of games, too. Look at that. He's got over 20 sacks and over 20 INTs. You don't find very many linebackers with that distinction where you have over 20 sacks. He's got 52 to boot. And he's got over 20 interceptions. You don't see that. That is really stunning, actually. And now that I look at the 206 in games, hey, Ron, I'd like to know how many of those games were consecutively played, too, that 206. Because that also plays a factor. He's limited, Ron, in his all-pro teams. I think he made 2. Wow, those are really great numbers. Really great numbers. I wouldn't say it's not even close. That's 60 more games than yeah, but Longevity Maniac has to play a factor too in the conversation when you're evaluating. Guy played longer at an elite level. So what are you going to do? I get, because the conversation always comes back to Gale Sayers. Sayers was the youngest man inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think him and Barry Sanders and maybe Terrell Davis, because of the limited amount of years. And Sayers was the first ballot. I think Sayers went in at 30. So Sayers was very young when he went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He had to leave the game. He was a very young guy when he went into the Hall of Fame because of the knee injuries he had. All right, we're going to get to the milk cart. Should we do the milk carton, guys, now? Then we'll do the Big Sills Power 10. Should we do the milk carton? Deshaun Jackson, really a fine ball player, not a Hall of Famer. James Harrison is a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer. You'll probably have a 10-minute conversation about him and then you'll put him in. Plus the fact that he was unheralded as a draft choice. He was cut a bunch of times. The Ravens had him. Can you imagine if the Ravens had the insight to have him and Suggs on that same team with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Woodson and with Deion Sanders? They cut him. I like the Tomato Can Hall of Fame. Baker Mayfield is the leading nominee to go into the Tomato Can Hall of Fame. I'm not playing good enough. What gave that away? You're talking, hey, one of the all-time great tomato cans, Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick overall. 5 years later, everyone knows he's a tomato can. Holy cow. Here are the Eagles' milk carton guys for the Indianapolis Colts game. Now, this is a very important public service announcement. It's very important. If you've seen these guys, please call the NovaCare Center. And I'm sure Howie's plastered his cell phone somewhere because he likes taking credit for everything. I'm surprised Howie Roseman doesn't have a billboard on 95 going over the bridge there. I'm surprised you don't see Howie going, hey, this is Howie Roseman. I built the Eagles. I gotcha. Big O, I gotcha. I gotcha. Eagle milk carton guys for week 11. Fletcher Cox. Sorry, bud. This is the report. We haven't seen him in weeks. We heard he was wandering the streets, exhausted. There was a report he was working the fair as a turnstile, but nobody, I don't know. Number 3. See, this one's a tough one for me because I think this guy was kidnapped. I don't think he didn't show. I think Miles Sanders has been kidnapped. Hey, I think Miles Sanders, am I right? I think Miles Sanders has been kidnapped or something. I mean, you got Kenneth Gainwell out there instead of Miles Sanders. Can you guys please do me a favor here? Tell me my conspiracy theory's wrong here. But how about this one? When it comes to Miles Sanders, you think Howie's not playing this guy in critical situations, that they're trying to get a third down back going instead of him so that they don't have to pay this guy? Or do you buy into what Merrill said? When Merrill said, hey, they're trying to save him for December and January. I kind of buy into that a little bit. I kind of buy into that. But if you're going to let him go at the end of the year anyway, why wouldn't you play this guy right through, right? I don't know, man. Am I overthinking it or am I overcooking it? Yeah, this was a tough one to put him on the Eagle milk carton, guys, because, I think Miles Sanders maybe had been kidnapped because I don't know what to make of this dude here, man. Brian, they may be saving him for the playoffs. They may be. You know what I mean? They may be saving him. Look at Xander, man. Xander already knows. And without further ado, this guy hasn't been seen since Chicago. And he was getting on an airplane. Has anyone seen Robert Quinn? Look, man, I say this to you all the time. When Jesse James walked into Banks, he was using a gun and a Tommy gun to rob banks. Robert Quinn, dude, I'd rather have that roster spot for somebody else. Dude, Robert Quinn, where are you, man? Dude, pretty soon we're going to start sending smoke signals out. I'm going to get my teepee going. Robert Quinn. I'm going to get my smoke signals going. Goes through the top of my teepee. Have you seen this man, Robert Quinn? Holy cow. Sanders, Fletcher Cox, and Robert Quinn. He had only 10 snaps. Really? I didn't see him. Sorry. More football to play? Car 54. Car 54, where are you? Only the older folks will get that. Only the older folks will get that, JM. Car 54, where are you? Car 54, where are you? That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. There's your milk carton, guys. I saw Quinn in the trainer's room. I saw Robert Quinn at a Wawa. Five-Star says the Eagles have released Jared Williams from the practice squad, injured reserve list, and released Auden Tate from the practice squad. How he's getting ready to make a move. Grandpa Munster. Holy cow, this is a terrible list here too, man. I hate doing that to people, bud. Big Sills always has a milk carton list. My bosses used to hate that list. Because the organizations would always call, like the Tampa Bay Bucks would always go, why the milk carton list? What a milk carton list? I don't know. Have you seen this guy? Bucks hated that list. Used to call me every time and complain. I'll tell you one thing you'll never see on that milk carton list is Howie Roseman or Nick. Howie Roseman and Nick, those guys are like pom-pom cheerleaders. So you know who Sirianni and Howie remind me of? You know the guys that are on the aircraft carrier that are going like this? They're landing the F-17s or 16s, right? They're on to Carl Vincent. Here's Howie. Howie's on the Carl Vincent. Nick's over here going like this. This is for you, Colonel Nimitz. General Nimitz, this is for you. Oh, yeah. I do my research. Very good, Drew. By the way, I watched Miami this weekend. Van Dyke is definitely a milk carton kid. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, I don't know what you're talking about, Jeremiah. I have no idea what you're talking about. Holy cow. That shit was for Frank Wright. That shit was for Frank Wright. Everyone in the stands is going, what? Who's he talking to? Here's to you, buddy. What a freak show. Sirianni worked for that. Oh, hey, Jeremiah, that's where we agree. Dude, can you imagine? You know what working for a guy like Jim Irsay's like? Every one of you guys know what we're talking about here. Okay? You know, you walk in one day, this guy is this guy. The next day you walk in, he's that guy. You walk in, he's that guy. That sucks. Nobody likes to walk in or live in an environment like that. One day you got somebody who's really great. Next day they suck ass. That's terrible workplace. I'll tell you one thing about the Eagles that they've done this year that I really love. It looks like a bunch of fun to play there. Looks like a bunch of fun. You got to have some fun in this, man. It's a grind. All right. I know we've been waiting for this. My top 10 NFL teams. I think some of you are going to be surprised. The Big Sil's top 10 NFL football teams. Then we're going to do the quarterbacks. We also have my candidates for Defensive Player of the Year, which I have a vote for. I think you'll be surprised at one of the names. I can't believe I put this guy's name on this list. Muhammad, you're going to be stunned. Hey, Dan, your show is very entertaining. You know, my wife says that to me at the dinner table every night, Muhammad. Hey, Muhammad, you know what my daughter says? Hey, Sills, I see why a lot of people hate you. My daughter, she dropped the Sills on me. I said, they don't hate me. They go, yes, they do, Dad. And please do me a favor. Don't bring my name up in anything. I don't want any hate mail. People don't hate me, Danielle. Ugh. Here we go. Top 10. The 10th best team in the National Football League, according to Big Sills. Patriots. Bill Belichick is running down Don Shula. I don't think it's in his best days right now as a head coach, but you know what Belichick is running down now? The regular season record for the most wins by an NFL head coach. He has just about every other record there is, and Coach Belichick is on the heels pretty soon. I think next year or the year after, Bill Belichick is going to pass Don Shula. He's already passed George Halas. I mean, Belichick is going to go down as the greatest NFL head football coach in the history of the sport. Thank you, Charles. Number 9, the New York Football Giants. Boy, Brian Dable, way to go, dude. You are some football coach. To take that shitbox quarterback and Daniel Jones and make him win? Can you imagine if the Giants had Jimmy Garoppolo? If the Giants had Jimmy Garoppolo, they might be undefeated. I think Garoppolo's going to land in New York. Can you imagine Garoppolo and Brian Dable working together? And you have Saquon Barkley. If I'm the Giants, Garoppolo's 31. I got 5 years of Jimmy G. I'm good with that. Draft a quarterback, develop him behind Garoppolo. Saquon Barkley's playing spectacular football. The Giants. By the way, watch this. Do I think they're even in the Eagles league? No. But they're winning. I dropped the Vikings to 8. I'm sorry. Until you win a big game. If I criticize the Philadelphia Eagles for not winning big games, you can't drop your biggest games of the year. Shit, the Eagles beat you and the Cowboys this year. I don't know. They've played their big game so far. In the early part of the schedule, they got a couple more coming up. The Eagles, at least they come through. Even with cheating. They didn't cheat. There's a difference with breaking rules and cheating. It's not cheating. Not when you continually win Super Bowls after. Ain't no cheating. Deflated footballs. Oh, my God. Spygate. Yeah, okay. You know, the only thing that I'll say that they ever did that was really suspect, they used to turn off the headsets for the opposing team. And that rule got put into place because they were turning headsets off. Number 7, the Ravens. Ravens got to play better defense. Lamar's got to pick. Lamar's playing really good ball, but he's got to play better. Number 6. Here it is. Big Sil's top 10 NFL teams. Number 6. Jimmy G, baby. And the San Francisco 49ers. They're freaking screaming up this list. Woo! 49ers, baby. Do you have a better quarterback than Garoppolo? No. You have a quarterback that's playing better football than Jimmy G. But you don't have a better quarterback than him. That's all you have. What's Jimmy G ever won? Well, he's 4-2 in the playoffs. Have you won a game yet with him in the playoffs? Oh, that's right. You were crushed. Have you been to an NFC title game? He's been to 2 last 3 years, and he's won 1. Huh. You got to get out of the opening round first. Here now are the top 5. Big Sil's top 10 NFL power rankings. I got the Dolphins at 5, the Miami Dolphins. Who would have ever thought that the Dolphins would be better without Brian Flores? Now, you bring in Tyreek Hill and hey, I'll tell you what, too, that tackle they brought in from New Orleans has played great football. He's been healthy, too. That was a big deal with him coming over to Miami. They played pretty good on defense, too. I got the Dolphins at 5. Number 4, the Dallas Cowboys. Dak is back. Wow. They destroyed the Vikings, more so than you did. And they did it at their place. What's a more impressive win? You beating Cooper Rush or Dak going to Minneapolis and winning? Greg, Jimmy G. Hey, Greg, what's your guy done? He gets a pat on the back. I love guys like Greg. Jimmy G. Ha, ha, ha. Jalen Hurts. Ha, 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 ha. He's done nothing, man. He hasn't even won a swing set yet. He hasn't even won a swing set. A seesaw. Nothing. He hasn't even, won a Gatorade yet. He's 9-1. Well, you don't get really a lot of things in the NFL for going 9-1. Jimmy G's an athletic. Alex Smith. Did Alex Smith ever win a conference championship game? I must have missed that one. I must have missed that. But seriously, I must have missed that Super Bowl appearance by Alex Smith. I must have missed that one. Number 3, Big Sills. Top 10 NFL teams of the week. Here we are. We're now in the top 3. God, we have a lot to hit on. The number 3 power ranking NFL team on the Big Sills power rankings. Finishing up week 11 of the NFL, heading into week 12. The Buffalo Bills. They'll get there. Their quarterback is too good not to. They got to figure out the second half of football games and adjustments. Ken Dorsey's still going through that. Got to be better on script in the second half. As good as you are in the first half. Don't let Josh Allen freelance too much because he gets himself in trouble. You got to rein that shit in, Ken. I love you. You know that. You got to rein that shit in, Ken. We are now in the top 2. The team from the city of brotherly love, the Philadelphia Eagles, are now number 2 on the Big Sills top 10 NFL teams. And number 1, with the best quarterback, coach combination in the league, by far, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are number 1. That was probably more so my dynamic with the Chiefs. You don't have Patrick Mahomes, nor do you have Andy Reid. You got emotional Nick and steady Jalen. Thank God. But what you have in Kansas City is the best arm talent in the game and level-headed and steady Andy Reid. And it's not close. You have nothing in Philly that's even remotely close to that dynamic in Kansas City. Nothing. Your coach is not. Andy Reid's probably the best coach in the NFL right now. Some would go like this. Well, he's got Patrick Mahomes. Funny, he did the same shit in Philadelphia with McNabb. That'd be one thing to say, well, he's got Mahomes. Well, he did the same stuff. 5 conference championship games in Philly, and he's doing it now in Kansas City. I don't know. Difference is in Kansas City, he's got a quarterback that got him across the tape. That thing is not even close. Not even close. Well, Philly, why did you lose to Washington? Really? Who gives a shit they lost to the Colts? You had to squeeze one out against the 4-6-1 Colts. Congratulations. You're not better than Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So here are your top 10. Pats. Gigantes. Vikings. Ravens at 7. 49ers at 6. Dolphins at 5. Cowboys at 4. Bills at 3. Eagles at 2. Chiefs at 1. By the way, the 49ers and Cowboys have a better offense than the Eagles right now. That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, AJ gets healthy. They figure out what they're doing with Miles Sanders, and they get Goddard back. We're talking different. But that's part of the NFL, war of attrition. Look at JM. He thinks they have a better offense without Dallas Goddard than Andy Reid and some of these other places like the 40. You don't have a better offense. They got Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, a running game, the best tackle in the game on offense, and you think your offense is better when your wide receivers have been Casper the Ghost the last 2 weeks. Congratulations. That's a dumbass take. It's a fluid list. Thank you, GT. That's right, Dre. It'll change. It'll change. Eagles have the second-ranked defense and the fifth-ranked offense. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they looked at against Indy, and they looked at it. Yeah, because you play shitbag teams. You play dog teams. Look at who have they played in the last month? Have you played a winning team? Yes. The only winning team you've played in a month beat you. Did you know that? Let me think about that. Steelers, Texans, Washington, and the Colts. So in the last month, you've played 4 teams, and the only team with a winning record, they beat you. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, man. Very interesting. Very interesting. Sills, I don't think the Niners will make the playoffs unless they win the division. They're going to beat Seattle in 2 weeks, I think it is. That's a hard take, Big Sills. You notice how it's not a problem Mahomes loses to the Colts? No, because you know why? Mahomes does it in the playoffs. What's your guy done in the play? Look at Pablo. The regular season. I mean, really. This guy's been to 4 AFC championship games in a row. You guys went on the road and got destroyed. You're making it sound. Are you really trying to put Patrick Mahomes' team up against you? Boy, man, you really think a lot of yourselves after coming off a hair-biting win against the Colts. Wait, and you get the cheerleader screaming at the Colt fans. I thought he beat Peyton Manning. I thought Sirianni beat Peyton Manning. Hey, this is for fucking Frank Reich. Everyone in the stands is like, what's he doing? Harry High School affected his ability to coach that team, and same thing with the offense, man. They look stupid coaching that Colts game. They look stupid. Dude, keep your poise. Your quarterback did. You know the quarterback's poise won that game? It wasn't the coach's poise. He didn't have any. This guy's bawling and crying, screaming at fans. That's not poise. That's not poise under pressure. That's a panic. The quarterback was the only guy with poise. That whole offensive thing was a shit show. That thing was a shit show. I mean, the coach had no poise. Yeah, you're right, Midas. I could see Sirianni and his tears out coaching Andy Reid. Dude's emotional. Yeah. Okay, I get it, man. But like I told everybody about Dick Vermeil, when we had Merrill Reese on, Dick Vermeil's an emotional guy. He cries a lot, right? So Vermeil has in his eyes and a whip in his hand. Those are scary dudes. Dick Vermeil has a whip and tears. Hey, man, he's the guy that says this. I'm going to hate to beat the shit out of you guys today in practice for 8 hours. I'm going to hate it. You're like, oh, my God. Dude, Dude, Dick Vermeil's a frightening coach. Those are frightening coaches. They got a whip in their hand, and Dick's crying like this. I'm gonna hate to have to kick the shit out of you for 3 hours, 2 times a day. Oh my God, I'm gonna hate it. Guys, I love you to death, but I gotta beat the shit out of you. And he's tearing up, and you're like, oh my God. Dude. Oh, Midas, that's right. Keep it up, baby. Hey, you guys still want to make that bet he doesn't throw for 4K? Where's he now? Let's see where he is. Let's see where he is right now. Let me see here. Jalen Hurts stats. Xander thinks he's going to throw for 5,500 yards and 88 touchdowns. Okay. He's at 2,400 yards. You think in the next 7 games he throws for another 1,600 yards? Hey, who wants to make that bet with me? Oh, no, I never said he's throwing for 4,000 yards. Oh, no, I said 4,000. He'll never throw for 4,000. No. Don't change that on me, Philly guy. Oh, no. You guys made a bet with me, GT too, boy. GT says that he's going for 44.5. Yo, hey, wait a minute. So you think he throws for 1,600 yards in the next 7 games? Okay. Wee! Never happened. Never. Xander thinks he's going to throw for 4,500 yards and 55 touchdowns. Get his $50 million. I guarantee he ends up with somewhere around 38, 39, somewhere in there. Plus Goddard being out. His inability to find Devontae. How you doing? I think he'll go for 41. 4K, baby. Not happening. Ever. Hey, I still got our quarterback rankings. We're going to do that at the top of the hour. Also, My defensive player of the year candidates. I want to throw this at you. I want to throw this at you. Well, he hasn't thrown for 228 a game, Jax, in the last 2 weeks. Okay? You know why? He's being asked to run more. Do you understand his rushing attempts are going up, which is going to bring down his passing attempts and his opportunities? Because whatever you're doing with Miles Sanders is going to affect his passing game. Okay, Jeremiah, we'll see. You think that this guy's going to throw for 35 attempts and run for 20 attempts? Well, I'll tell you, good luck to you. I hope you don't get hurt, man. You're asking a lot of that kid. But he's the guy to do it. He'll break the glass ceiling. Kurtz is the 6th quarterback. Yeah, man, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I care about postseason play. He's the 15th guy to carry for 30 touchdowns to 20. It's dumb. It's a different game today. He'll throw for 300 this game. Against the Packers? 4K, baby. Let's take a quick time out. Keep it here on the National Football Show.